Welcome to the girls. We're here today with another exciting show. We have a special guest on today, Paula Hahn, name you're all familiar with. She is the Executive Director at Fritzingertown Senior Living Community. And we're going to talk with her about how things have changed since COVID. But before that, we are going to have our little chit-chat. Janine.
Look at us preparing
How
for
about
the
us?
holidays.
Getting ready for Christmas.
And we don't tell each other what we're wearing. We just show up.
How about the day we showed up with the same thing on?
Well, that's why it's great to do your show inside the Laurel Mall, because we can always grab other clothes and have a reason to be shopping for something new.
Exactly.
But we always have all kinds of different outfits back there, but I thought that was funny that we're getting ready for the holidays.
Yeah,
getting ready to decorate for my favorite holiday, which is Christmas. Well, the 4th of July, then Christmas, but I only decorate for Christmas.
Well, you have a lot of help decorating.
Not really.
Well, your kids and your mom. We're going to start with the finger fight. The finger fight. So how about my mother, God rest her soul? She always used to have her finger up.
She did.
And I
she
found
those
myself
long curly nails.
Yeah, but she had the most beautiful nails. And as I found myself getting a little older, I'm finding that my finger's coming up. So I think that's my mom.
Yeah,
it must be hereditary.
So new tradition that I started recently with my girlfriends is, and there's 4 of us, but we do once a month we get together at someone's home, and I recently hosted a little get together, like an arts and crafts little get together.
Oh, nice.
We made these little. Did you ever do yarn art?
Yeah, string art.
String art. So we did those. It was good. It was very tedious, and it really had to test my patient level.
Well, now, were you having some beverages while you were doing it?
Of course.
Of course.
It's like, oh, this is real easy. But those little nails and getting your fingers in there. But that was something, you needed something to look forward to now that you can't have large gatherings, and you can't do this and you can't do that. So what can you do? And you could certainly eat and drink and do some crafts.
Well, you have to think back to in the day when there was like no electricity. So think back to our grandparents, and before that, I mean, they had a lot of kids, so we know what they were doing. But also, just to get together, like when I was a kid, we always played games, and we made things up, and we made our games. Like, we didn't have computers and all those games. Excuse me. So, yeah, you have to be inventive.
Yes, and since we're on technology so much, you don't want to be on technology when you're actually doing something fun. You want to get your mind off of the technology. So next time we meet, we're meeting at my one girlfriend's house. Again, there's 4 of us. We're making wreaths. So we're getting we bring all of the items to her house. Everyone brings their own bottle of wine, and you share it, of course, but we'll be making nice wreaths for the holiday.
Yeah, while you're out doing that, on Sunday nights we have game night at our house with the 3 grandkids.
Yes.
And whoever else would like to come, but the 3 grandkids look forward to that because we have something to eat. We either order out or make stuff, whatever. I always take their requests. And then I have like the goodie table. And then we sit and we watch all the programs that I record from all the game networks. And we play like America Says and all that stuff. And we have a blast.
It's so funny with kids though. And I remember
I'm the biggest kid.
Dad did this to his grandparents too. He would eat at his house, and then he would go to his grandparents' house and he would eat there. Like they're deprived, they don't eat at home.
Yeah, to be sociable.
Yeah.
He said, to be sociable.
But you make it fun and you serve them, and I'm like, here's your food, eat it, you know.
Well, that's why they love Nana.
Yeah.
Because
Nana
loves them. She spoils them. All right, well, stay with us because when we come back, we have our special guest, Paula Hahn. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the girls. As promised, we have our special guest with us, Paula Hahn. She's the Executive Supervisor Director of Fritzingertown Senior Living Community. And I know I probably said 50,000 things in your title, but you're the head chief.
She deserved all of them.
She does, because everything that you have been doing, and I must constantly thank you for it. You have been keeping all of those residents safe and healthy and happy and entertained since the COVID started. And I want to publicly on air thank you from the bottom of our hearts for that.
Wow, you're very welcome, but it's not me. I have, and people say, you say it all the time, but it's the truth. I have the best staff ever. You know, it was, when all of this happened, it was sitting them down and working out a plan that they were all part of, and just figuring out how we were going to do what we were supposed to do and just do it.
Is it consistency? Is that the thing when you look at, you know, who's for masks, who's not for masks, who doesn't want to do 6 feet apart, who doesn't want to social distance, who thinks it's political, whatever end of the spectrum it is. How have you been able to decipher through all that with all of your employees and keep that consistency within the Fritz?
Well, politics or no politics, you know, we're regulated by 2 different agencies, especially in the Department of Health. So when they put out the guidance that masks were necessary, I mean, it ends at the door. When you come in the building, you wear a mask, you get your temperature taken, you get a screening, you wash your hands, and, you know, any symptoms, and you're out of here, or don't come to work. You know, so it's not, that's not optional. That's not optional.
And you're speaking about employees because there have been no visitors.
No, there have no been.
No one has been in, really, and it's very hard to digest because my father is a resident there. So the last time I was able to be with my dad and hug my dad was in March. But I've been able to have window visits with my dad, and I've been very pleased to see how his care is. So even though selfishly on my part, I want to be with him, hug him and kiss him or whatever, but looking at the safety and following the guidelines, you have been in your facility because of your vigilance. You've been COVID-free, knock on wood. So your employees now, what happened in the beginning with your employees? Did you have to give them guidelines outside of work as well?
Well, I mean, luckily everybody was pretty much shut down. You know, in the beginning, that happened even when they left work. There was nowhere to go. I mean, Hazleton was in the red, and, you know, the COVID was so rampant in our area that nobody went anywhere. I mean, because out of their own fear. But then as things started to lessen, you know, then you could see people out and about, and, you know, we had to sit them down again and say, I know your families are doing things, your friends are doing things, but you need to remember where you work. And to a fault, they all said, we know. You know, you pretty much didn't even need to tell us that, we know.
They're wonderful. Your staff is just so wonderful. They provide not only the medical care, but they provide physical and emotional care. They love the residents like as if they were their own people. They really do. I have to commend you on that. My dad has formed a bond with you. My dad's nickname is Juba Marquez. So tell everybody what he does with you.
He recognizes the fact that, and he'll wait for me to say it, but I will say, Juba Marquez from Fort Ben Hayes, everybody drinks and Juba pays. Yeah!
So how have you been able to keep the residents' mental health strong through this? Because, you know, when you have someone like my mom who's going every day and is very involved with, you know, we're a touchy family and we like to hug, and, you know, physical contact is a part of us. So how do you keep your residents mentally strong through this?
Well, again, it was tough in the beginning because they were pretty much isolated into their rooms. I mean, they really didn't even see us. They couldn't come out for activities. They couldn't come out for meals. So that put the extra stress on the staff. I mean, they became not only their caregivers, but they did have to become their family. And they had to be happy all the time and present, you know, our residents understood though, but the staff really had to present the feeling that everything was going to be okay. And the residents worried more about the staff. You know, they didn't want anything to happen to the staff. So that atmosphere of family, we had to become their family, you know, especially in the beginning. So it was fun, though, really.
Don't you find that the age group that lives at Fritzingertown, they've been through so much.
They have
so
seen
much
adversity,
patience.
right? They really do. It was, you know, we had to sit them down and tell them, you have to be in your room, can't come out for activities, no bingo for a while, which that was the hardest part. But they were pretty much like, tell us what we have to do, what's happening. And they see it on television. You know, they watch it. They don't want it. You know, they don't want to get it.
And I was surprised because the first visit with my dad through a window, I brought a dry erase board so that he could read, because of course he couldn't hear me. And I had my mask on, so from very far away, I took my mask up to show him it was me and put it back on. And he was laughing at first because he didn't really get it. He hadn't seen me and my husband with our masks on. So then as I started writing on the board, I said, Daddy, do you understand what's going on and why? And he said, yes. You know, he did understand. And I know with a lot of dementia patients, whatever, you have to tell them every 5 minutes because they might forget. But they really got it, and he really caught on, and a lot of them there, they just went with the flow.
They really did.
They just go with the flow.
It wasn't surprising to them. You know, they saw us with the masks the first couple times and didn't get who we, or would ask us, you know, and who are you? And then after a couple days, I mean, it just was like it's always been there, you know, it was natural.
So going through all these months with the unprecedented times for our generation, do you see an end in sight? Do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
I do. I think if it were just in our country, but it's not, it's all over the world. We have the best and the brightest in the world working on this. You know, I can't imagine they have, you know, they've become too busy to work on something else. We have the best and the brightest in the world working on this. And I don't think it's not going to be something that they keep to themselves. It's going to be something they share with the world. So whoever comes up with it first, you know, kudos to them, because they're all working on it, and it will end. It will. I think, you know, the masks are here for a while. I think the fear will go away.
Do you think there will be, have you learned anything for safety within the facility that you think will be forever due to COVID?
Oh, I think our, I mean, not that we weren't always sanitary. I think we were always very clean.
Very.
And even with flu season, we went above and beyond. But this is a different animal altogether, I think.
Well, it's unknown.
Right, but
will you think we will still see like the disinfectant, the sprays,
yes.
Maybe even the temperature taking? I think it's a positive thing at schools before, you know, getting in. Why not see if someone is actually sick that could?
I think it made us aware that something like this could happen to us. I mean, this came out of nowhere. Nobody expected it. So I would hate to think that it would happen again, but it could happen again.
Well, you went through flu season right in the beginning of it as well. Excuse me. And my father came down with the flu, and we didn't know for sure which one it was. Thank God he didn't have the COVID. But did you find a difference since the masks of people getting colds and sick? Is it keeping other things away?
Yes.
So it's working.
When nobody was going anywhere was when our residents were the healthiest ever. You know, they weren't going out to doctors, they weren't going out, you know, socially, they were going in.
What kind of life is that, though? A healthy life, right?
Yeah, but I think families were afraid that they were sitting there in their rooms moping and depressed and very sad and
and maybe that's how they feel because they couldn't see their loved ones.
Right.
But the residents, it's kind of like dropping your kid off at daycare. You leave crying, the kid is all playing and doesn't miss you at all, and you're the one really, you know, missing the kid.
Well, I'm going to stop you right there. When we come back, we're going to talk about how some of the creative ways that you did keep your residents happy. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the girls. We're having our conversation with Paula Hahn, in case you just joined us, and we're talking about the creative ways that she and her staff at Fritzinger Senior Living Community have come up with things to keep everybody happy, busy, healthy, because you can't have any outside entertainment coming in. So your staff became the entertainment.
They really did.
I mean, I saw some of the videos that you posted, and they're fabulous. I mean, they should have their own show.
Well, I mean, there was karaoke. We did a lot of
karaoke.
Yeah. We did a lot of dancing in the hallways, you know, because they couldn't come out. They couldn't come out of their rooms. So again, my staff, especially the activities, would go from room to room to room and do a lot of one-on-one. Help them write letters, help them read letters, you know, just help them sit and do the rosary, you know, because they couldn't do that. And, you know, like little board games, puzzles and stuff like that. But as it started to open a little bit, then we pretty much did what everybody else did, was the 25%, you can start bringing them out to the dining room. And then, you know, the little bit of the games and things like that. Our staff was the spiritual, you know, they did the rosaries every day, and the mass, you know. I mean, we obviously couldn't give them communion, but they were the spiritual. They prayed together, they did the rosary together, and I mean, it's just a lot of it was musical, you know, and my staff are pretty good singers and some are not. And then as the weather got nicer, luckily, we were able to take them outside, and then entertainment could come back.
And how about all the parades?
Yeah, oh, the parades, yeah.
We were invited as the
parades for Mother's Day, Father's Day, 4th of July, Labor Day, any reason we could have for a parade. And that was more for families because they hadn't been able to see them. So at least they could do the drive-by and see that they're okay.
What about birthdays? What do you do for birthdays?
We still have the parties when, you know, they get their own birthday cakes and balloons and the staff sings, and they had, I mean, you've been to a birthday dinner, you know, but the staff did it. That was their guest, you know, so.
Yes, so the staff would be the family members for them. Now, do the residents in nursing homes wear masks when they leave their rooms?
No. Okay,
so they're exempt?
They are.
Okay.
Now, the way it was explained to me from, you know, a couple because there's webinars and chat rooms, and I mean, and there's always conversations about how do you handle this, how do you handle this, and pretty much the way that we were told is they're a family, you know, just like you don't wear a mask around your own family, they are a family. So unless somebody is not well, they really don't need to wear a mask. Now, if they leave the facility to go to the doctor, I mean, they're gowned and masked, and, you know, because that's our biggest fear. We tried not to do any appointments at all when this was happening other than telehealth, which worked out very well. But there are some things you need to go to the doctor for. So they are masked and gowned, and nobody had a problem with that.
Yeah, that's one who we didn't have to jump through with our show, is because we're all family.
Yeah,
so.
we're always together. So that is it, and they are one big family down there. They watch out for one another, and I've seen so much of them really worry about one another as well. If someone's missing, that someone has to go to the hospital or something, they're all anxiously waiting for them to come back, and worried and concerned about them. So you have created a beautiful community down there of the residents, and they are assisted living, and Janine mentioned nursing homes, so they receive all kinds of care, whatever care that they need, right, Paula? And you also have people who live in one of the other areas that are in apartments who have their medications given to them and whatever else they may need. And then you also have another division there over where the memory unit is, below, that is just apartments. They're on their own, totally. So how was it trying to handle like all of those different things? Did they all have the same restrictions, or what was happening there?
Well, the people in the apartments, it's called cohorting, I'm sure you know that. The people in the apartments could not even get on the elevator to come upstairs until recently. And then, you know, they would come out to activities outside where they would get to see each other. But pretty much the people in the apartments that was one family. The people in the Oaks were another family. The people in the totally independent living apartments really didn't come into the building at all. And then our memory care unit, and that's a completely different, there's really no way to keep them in their rooms. In the beginning, there was absolutely no way you could keep them in their rooms. So that was really just it, the sanitizing, sanitizing. A lot of separate meals so that we could separate the tables and only have one person at a table at a time.
So when you look at when things could progress, when do things progress? How do you evaluate when people could come either back in the building or they can see loved ones or contact, or is that something regulated by the state?
I'm sorry, we actually started indoor visitation this week because the weather, it's not conducive to our, especially the residents being outside for any length of time. So there's quite a process you need to go through. You need to make an appointment. You need to call us from the parking lot. And this will help people that don't know this yet, but to call us from the parking lot when you get there for your visit. We'll call you. We'll come and get you. The resident is there waiting for you. You need to come in. The mask is necessary. Temperature screening, hand washing, and you go into the room to visit for 15 minutes.
Screening as in a COVID test?
I'm sorry?
Oh, what do you mean by screening?
The questionnaire.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But I'm glad you mentioned that, though, because anybody from out of state, we are requiring proof of COVID testing before they come.
And when you mention they go to a room, it's not the residence room, it's a special room.
It's a special visitation
room that's designated, and is it 6 feet apart?
6 feet apart.
Yeah, and both have
that's one of the hardest things we have to do, my staff, one of the hardest things we have to do is to say to family, you can't hug them.
Oh.
You can't touch them.
Crush my soul
you can't
right there.
Hug them. I know, I just had to do it before I came, and I have to apologize, but I can't let you touch them.
Yeah.
When
I was visiting my dad through the window and the window visits, there was a glass window there. And so he put his hand up on the window and I put my hand on the window. And it was like, it's for your own good. And he understood it too. You do miss that, but when you look at the alternative, that one hug could kill your loved one, God forbid that you would give them something or compromise their health situation. It's not going to be forever, like you said, and I don't know, you just have to have faith.
But don't you think a lot of people took moments like that for granted before?
Oh my goodness.
And I think it's so heartwarming for us to watch that. I think we took that for granted before, but I think that meant more to your dad than anything, I think.
Right. Oh, I know when I would come down, I would sit with them, they'd have the entertainment, and I was on my dad constantly. We were hugging and holding hands and singing, and I was just rubbing him or whatever. I always did that. And I think I stayed away, maybe in my mind, I stayed away from some of those visits because I was afraid I'd bring him something. So until everything stabled out a little bit, I just thought, he's being taken care of, he's well, he's healthy, whatever. So you really have to put your own mindset and just know that you're doing good for the person. You're taking care of them. You could call and check on them. My dad can't talk on the phone, he can't hear really well, but I could check with the people who are taking care of him. So again, I have to applaud you and your staff. They're so dedicated, they're so loving, they're caring, and it always comes from the top because that's how you are. You walk in and there you are, right in your office. Everybody's right there. You don't have the doors closed and you don't have to go through 50 people. You're always available. The people who work in the front are fabulous. We don't go in like that anymore. But everybody's always willing to help and answer questions and do whatever. So again, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for what you do.
Thank you on behalf of my staff because they are the best.
Yeah, they really, really are. And we hope that we're helping out a little bit with some of the shows that we provide with the Mass and the Rosary and whatever for them. We've upped the amount of times that we run them because I know a lot of them, depend on those shows too there. So if there's anything anybody needs to know about Fritzinger Senior Living Community, if you have a loved one that maybe is, ready to go and live somewhere that you're worried about them, especially with the COVID, they can give you a call, they can visit their website, and I'm sure that you'll be very happy to find that they have something for everyone there that you need. You're taking admissions still during COVID?
Yes, but they're screened even more.
Right. Okay, well,
Thanks, Paula.
we hope we brought you some great news, and hopefully we'll be able to be open and free again.
It will be over, I promise.
Thank you. Okay, you heard it. Paula promised, so keep your fingers crossed. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.